I don't know it right now, but today is going to be a long day. I guess by now I should know that anything can happen, and what's printed on your boarding pass is rarely emulated as multiple factors contribute to making a regular operation irregular, but I'm happy because my boarding pass has my favorite airport printed in the destination field. So let's head on up to LaGuardia. Okay, I just dropped off my bag at the Delta check-in area and I found out that our flight today is delayed. The reason for the delay? Waiting for flight attendants. The inbound flight, which is the same flight number as the outbound flight, Delta 1021, is actually on time. Let's see what happens. It's just a typical day flying here in the USA. Delays are here and here to stay. But first, let's experience something where I never had a delay. The train to the plane here at MCO. It's not a busy day airside, and with my extra time, I went plane spotting here on airside number 4. I love to get that international feel, and fortunately, a few international carriers operate from here. With the delay that I have, I'm checking out aircraft. I always look for any window vantage point so I can see the operation and learn about the operation knowing that I'll be part of it real soon. Aircraft are coming and going to and from places all over the world, and today the airport configuration is a southern configuration. Okay, I'm taking a break from all the walking I've been doing, but I should be walking more. As a matter of fact, when I'm not flying, I am exercising more. And maybe you should too. Check out this message from the sponsor of today's video. With all the traveling I do, I find myself just sitting for hours on an airplane, and I need a way to make up for that. So I use my Yesol G1M Plus for a regular cardio workout. A breeze to put together, and at a great price point, this is the best stationary bike I've ever had. With so much time spent sitting, this is a great fit for my lifestyle, and using it doesn't take me away from what I need to do. It's all about fun cardio, as this bike features wired multimedia casting, making a typical cardio workout transformed into something enjoyable. I mean, who doesn't enjoy watching Peter Masella's YouTube channel while working out? I know I certainly watch my channel all the time, even when I'm not working out, because the screen rotates 360 degrees, so I can watch the screen when not sitting on the bike. I love having an additional screen in my home in a place where I normally would not have one. What a great feature. Working out and enjoyment go hand in hand with Yesol. As a traveler, I love this feature, which allows me to feel like I'm biking abroad. And when I want to take things very seriously, I just tune into instructor-led courses. I always leave it to the pros to tell me what to do. I'm an expert as an airline passenger, but I'm not an expert trainer. And statistics are always available to me. These are some fantastic metrics that provide me with the right information at the right time. And I'm not the only one who uses Yesol.
Hey, this is Peter Sr. here. I'm using Yesol on a regular basis, and let me tell you, it's working wonders for me as well.
That's right, my dad loves using this product. After all, he also sits on airplanes a lot and needs the cardio workout. He's especially fond of the 4-speaker system and 2 subwoofers for exceptional sound quality. As a viewer of this channel, you can take advantage of my discount code in the description below. It's exceptionally affordable. Imagine watching Netflix or the news or airplane videos while biking or at any angle. What a deal this is. That's right, you heard it. You can get a great discount with my code. You just gotta do it. But for now, let's return to today's video. Now, I'm not actually waiting near the Delta gates. One thing that I've learned to do here at MCO is not wait in the concourse where the Delta flights are. It's way too crowded. Just find another concourse. It's so much easier to talk to the camera here. Well, I've got some interesting news about today's flight. Today, we're going to be flying the Milton arrival procedure, which means that we're going to head up north towards Cleveland. Now, this is going to make for a significantly longer flight today, which of course I'm always excited about, but we have to do it because there are thunderstorms between MCO and LGA in a straight line. So if we head out more towards Cleveland and then come around the other direction, we'll be better off. I can't wait to see my A321. It just landed from LaGuardia Airport as Delta 1021. Here comes my A321. There she is, straight from LaGuardia, and it's heading right back, with a delay, of course, as the plane waits for new flight attendants. I'm going to head over to the Delta concourse now. And I've got some good news. LaGuardia is landing at runway 22 with right traffic. Of course, I have a strategic seat selection on the right-hand side of the plane in case we fly up the Hudson River. Here she is. She's LGA bound. It's not always the case where you actually get to see your plane here at MCO due to the crowds, but today we're leaving from gate 74, which is on the side, so there's a little bit less people, so I can see my A321. It's nice to see the bags being loaded. Let's get those flight attendants over here so the passengers can board. Today's delay is just under 40 minutes, but I'm just thinking of the approach. As I wait, I just may be the only person here thinking about that approach to LaGuardia. I'm really hoping for that right traffic to runway 22, up the Hudson. 22, right traffic, up the Hudson. 22, right traffic, up the Hudson. That's all we can hope for. Let's get on this fully staffed plane. All right, I'm entering the A321 bound for LGA. Today's seat is 36F. It's strategically chosen for being on the right side of the plane, and according to the Aerolopa website, it has a well-aligned window. They were correct. I'm not flying for a comfortable seat. I'm flying for a window that I can see out of. Give me a wooden chair, I don't care. I'm not going to listen to those who seek luxury and flaunt it. I seek flight, and I'm getting it.
Good afternoon, folks. Your captain speaking. I'd like to welcome you aboard Delta Flight 1021 to New York's LaGuardia Airport. I do appreciate your patience with the delayed departure today. We're going to do our best to get Pushback, get out of here just as soon as we can. Once we get airborne, 3 hours, 1 minute flying time, just a bit longer than normal. Right now they've got us routed a little bit inbound on the coastline just to avoid the tropical storm that kind of came in.
Did you hear that? He referenced our longer than normal route to New York today. We're all set for pushback, but we need to let this 29-year-old Boeing 757 move first. Okay, it's our turn. Under tug, our A321 is being pushed back onto the ramp here at MCO under the watchful eye of a ramp controller. For this flight, please note that I will not be providing ATC communications like I normally do. However, I'll be explaining everything from an air traffic perspective. This flight will be operating in the National Airspace System under the control of ground, tower, and departure control here in Orlando, and then due to a reroute, we'll be in contact with more high-altitude air route traffic control centers than normal before getting in touch with New York Approach Control, LaGuardia Tower, and LaGuardia Ground Control. Today we'll be using runway 18 left for takeoff, and everything about our taxi to the runway will be standard. It's only after takeoff where the flight path will deviate significantly from what's routine. Our taxi path under the guidance of Orlando Ground Control is taxi via taxiways Golf, Juliet, and Charlie to taxiway Bravo 1, where we'll enter the runway under the control of the local controller. We're all set for takeoff. The ground controller has handed us off to the local controller, and once there's sufficient separation between us and the traffic ahead and arrival traffic that has landed on runway 18 right and is not crossing the runway, we're issued takeoff clearance. Shortly after takeoff, it will become evident that things are not normal. We'll start the standard right-hand turn after takeoff, but we'll hold the western heading that we'll turn to for a very long time. Typically, a flight headed to LaGuardia will turn right, then right again to the north, and eventually to the northeast to head to New York City by joining the Proud Arrival procedure, which is designed for aircraft like ours coming from the southwest. I've done this countless times, but due to some really intense weather between Orlando and New York, we just can't fly in a straight line. We'll need to join the arrival flow from the west on what's called the Milton arrival, and that arrival starts around western Pennsylvania. So to get there, we'll head toward Cleveland, Ohio, and to get to Cleveland, we'll have to fly along the Gulf Coast of Florida. That's right, once we turn right after takeoff, we'll be flying all the way out to a spot just north of Tampa before we head north. The average passenger would wonder why in the world would we be flying near Tampa to get from Orlando to New York, but the way the routes are designed and the necessity of being near Cleveland to join the arrival, we head west so we can fly north toward Cleveland. This is really out of the way, but this flight will expose me and you to places that are different. We'll be flying through 8 states, many of which don't even touch the Atlantic Ocean, in a rare move today. This adds a lot more flight time to the route, and we'll be needing a lot more fuel, and there's going to be a surprise at the end of the flight that will make this flight even longer than anticipated. I'm going to be very excited to fly over so many unusual places and encounter different flights on different routes along the way, but the surprise at the end is going to disappoint me a lot, so you'll have to watch this video to the end to find out what that will be. We're now starting the first of many turns that we'll be making on today's flight. Our nose will eventually wind up heading west, and passengers on this side will get to see everything south and west of the greater Orlando area. We're leaving the Orlando area and are headed toward the Gulf. We'll be spending more time headed this way as we gain altitude. It's necessary so that we can avoid the bad weather. With a 40-minute departure delay, and now this, we'll surely be late to LaGuardia today. Closer to the Gulf, we start our right turn to the north. This is what it looks like on the screen on the seat back in front of me. You can see how far away from Orlando we are. Since we've gained speed, it's a wide and gradual turn. Those seated on the left could potentially see the Gulf, but there were some clouds in the airspace that we had to navigate around, so maybe they didn't get to see it. We were in contact with controllers at the Jacksonville Air Route Traffic Control Center, who will work with us as we join the prescribed routes in the sky toward Cleveland. We're leaving Florida and are entering the state of Georgia, and we'll switch centers to the Atlanta Center. That's Fitzgerald, Georgia down there in Ben Hill County. 9,000 people live there. I've never seen that city before. Flying this way afforded me a view to see a Delta jet climbing out of Atlanta for a short flight to where we came from, Orlando. This plane, a Frontier A320, is flying an even shorter route from Atlanta to Jacksonville. Down there is Robins Air Force Base, about 100 miles south-southeast of Atlanta. Over 25,000 people work at that facility. Up next, Macon, Georgia. Located at the center of the state, it's often called the heart of Georgia. With over 150,000 residents, Macon is the city where soul lives with its vibrant music scene. Down there is a Delta A321 descending into Atlanta from Punta Cana. By this point, the Atlanta airport, the world's busiest and the main hub of the airline that I'm flying on now, was off to the left, but I got to see Athens, Georgia in the distance on the right side. Up here is an Allegiant A320 from Columbus to Punta Gorda, and now that we're north of Atlanta, we can see a Delta 737 descending to Atlanta from Cleveland. Remember, we're headed toward Cleveland now. We're in Tennessee now, and down there is Dolly Parton's birthplace of Cedarville. Way out there is a Delta A220 from LaGuardia to Fort Myers, and down below is Morristown, Tennessee. We're now in Kentucky and are switching over to Indianapolis Center Control. On the Ohio River, between Kentucky and Ohio, we see the Ironton-Russell Bridge, a 902-foot-long cable-stayed bridge. We're now in Ohio talking to the Cleveland Air Route Traffic Control Center, and we're looking down at the Rickenbacker International Airport outside of Columbus. That's followed by a majestic view of downtown Columbus. What a great view from up here. And just past that is the John Glenn Columbus International Airport. We're starting to pick up traffic to the major Northeast airports, and here's a Republic Embraer from Nashville to JFK. It's about to fly the Lendy arrival and will overfly LaGuardia at 13,000 feet before landing at JFK. We're about to fly the Milton arrival, and as we approach the city of Cleveland, we start a gradual right turn to start heading toward the east. We're quite far from LaGuardia, but to its west. Down there is Marion, Ohio, and on the seat back you can see us finally turning toward New York City. Those are the Cleveland suburbs down there, but I got distracted by an Alaska 737 flying a cross-country flight from Newark to Portland, Oregon. Passengers on the left-hand side of the plane had a great view of Cleveland, Ohio, but I'm seated on the right because LaGuardia arrivals from the west like us will enter the New York City area from the Verrazano Bridge, then fly up the Hudson River at 4,000 feet with Manhattan on the right side of the plane. I'm so looking forward to that. You can see here how we've entered Pennsylvania. The projected line is the general path of the Milton arrival with a few more turns. We should be on the ground in less than an hour, but something is going to prevent that. You see, there was a ton of congestion on the Milton arrival to LaGuardia, and we started to turn to the left to upstate New York. This changes everything, and it came as a shock to me. We're getting rerouted for another arrival procedure to LaGuardia, the Harp arrival, designed for flights coming in from the north. Yes, this is a flight from Florida that we're on, and we're coming in from the north. This is a really, really long flight. I'm not happy at all. Sure, it's nice to fly an arrival procedure to LaGuardia that I rarely ever fly, but this means that there's going to be a major void for me on this flight. Remember how excited I was to be able to fly up the Hudson with Manhattan on the right side of the plane? Well, the approach controller is indeed vectoring planes from the Verrazano Bridge up the Hudson today. The problem is, we're coming in from the north. While runway 22 is the landing runway, we're going to approach it from the north and fly straight in. This means no Manhattan view at all. Not for passengers on the right side, or for passengers even on the left side. This was not part of my game plan. We're really far north now, near Rochester, New York, which is on the left side of the plane. In a moment, we're going to check in with Boston Center. That's how far north we've come. This map shows where we are now and what we'll do soon. Out my window, I can see New York's Finger Lakes. I was not expecting to see that. We're upstate, way upstate. Aircraft that flew the Proud and Milton arrivals, which brings flights toward the Verrazano Bridge, will definitely fly up the Hudson today, and passengers on the right side of the plane will see Manhattan before they turn around and land on runway 22. We will still land on runway 22, but we won't do that. So how does it work? Well, we kind of get priority. After crossing the Hudson River and following the arrival procedure in a southern direction east of the Hudson, we approach the LaGuardia area around the Westchester County Airport on the west edge of the Long Island Sound, which means that we'll practically be lined up with runway 22 already. Aircraft on vectors up the Hudson making right traffic to runway 22 have to fit in between arrivals like us, although there are less planes coming from the north and the south. That's the Hudson River down there. It's now time to head southbound toward New York City. Another disappointment with this approach is that the sun is on the horizon now, making it really difficult to film. Just imagine if we were flying in the opposite direction, northbound, up the Hudson, the sun would be on the other side of the plane, and it would be illuminating the Manhattan skyscrapers beautifully. For the next few minutes, I'll have to deal with sun glare on the window. I can make out the Hudson River down there, but this is not a crisp capture of it. That's the New Croton Reservoir, which we can see as we descend lower. The New Croton Reservoir is located in Westchester County and is part of the water supply for New York City. The two bridges are the northbound and southbound lanes of the Taconic State Parkway. We're now talking with New York Approach Control and are receiving clearance down to 4,000 feet. Now, if you watch my videos of my Breeze flights departing Westchester County Airport, departures climb to just 3,000 feet. The 3,000-foot altitude restriction from Westchester keeps Westchester departures 1,000 feet below arrivals to LaGuardia like ours from the north. Once we pass the Westchester County Airport, we can descend lower toward LaGuardia. There's the Westchester County Airport. We're going to turn around it and roughly follow the path of Interstate 95 down towards runway 22. I wish that sun would set already. It's really interfering with the window seat view, and I refuse to pull down the window shade. That's something I just don't do. Here's a better view of Westchester County Airport. If you look closely at the terminal area, you can see the Breeze A321 flight that I typically take down to Vero Beach. More of those videos are coming soon on this channel. Now we're intercepting the final approach course to runway 22. In a moment, we'll get clearance to 3,000 feet to cross Yeoman, a point 10.6 miles out on the final approach course of the ILS runway 22 approach. In this view, we can still see the Hudson River with the Mario Cuomo, also known as the Tappan Zee Bridge, spanning it. We can see the skyscrapers of downtown White Plains, but it's smoggy out there. Remember that arrivals to runway 22 from the southwest coming in over the Verrazano from the Milton and Proud arrival procedures are turning right onto the final approach course over the Bronx or Westchester County, depending on how much traffic there is. Demand is typically very high for these southwestern arrivals, and they're turned right onto the final approach course either in front of or behind us. Northern arrivals like us, and yeah, it's hard to believe that we're actually a northern arrival, have the benefit of typically not turning at all because the other arrivals need to make a U-turn onto a path that we're already on. On rare occasion, arrivals like us may get issued a few slight turns to the right or left if the spacing doesn't work out, but that's not happening now. The approach controller is working hard to place planes either ahead of or behind us. I'm pointing the camera down since the sun is annoying. We're over New Rochelle, New York, and the big road that you see down there is Interstate 95. 95 goes all the way down to Florida and takes a much more direct path than our long and complicated flight today. New Rochelle is named after La Rochelle in France and is home to around 80,000. It hugs the Long Island Sound on the other side of the plane. Today we won't see the skyscrapers of Manhattan up close, but we get to see the skyline of New Rochelle as we descend from Yeoman at 3,000 feet to Greco at 1,900 feet. Greco is in the Bronx and is 5.5 miles from landing. It's around this point where the New York approach controller confirms on radar that we're properly spaced between other arrivals, and after having been cleared for the ILS approach to runway 22, we're handed off to the control tower at LaGuardia itself. After New Rochelle, we fly over areas of green. That's Pelham Bay Park. We're finally within the borders of New York City. We're in the Bronx, but should have seen Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan on the normal approach. Once we check in with LaGuardia Tower, we'll get cleared to land once spacing and traffic allows. We can see the Pelham Bay Split Rock Golf Course down there. Runway 22 is directly ahead of us. At the top of the screen is Co-op City, the largest housing cooperative in the world. The population of Co-op City is just under half the population of all of New Rochelle. The water down there is part of the Hutchinson River, which starts about 10 miles north of here in Westchester. On the other side of the plane, it empties into Eastchester Bay. We're at Greco now at 5.5 miles out at 1,900 feet, and from here we have a continuous descent down onto runway 22. We're now over the southern end of Pelham Bay Park, which is the largest park in New York City. We can still see I-95, and on the urban side is the Pelham Bay neighborhood of the Bronx. I'm still keeping the camera pointed down to avoid glare from the sun. The Bronx, at just 42 square miles of land, is home to over 1.4 million people. We can see how dense things are as we make our way over the Schuylerview section of the Bronx. This is a primarily residential area, and we could see the many homes down below, but coming into view is Tremont Avenue, a business-lined street that runs through nearly the entire length of the Bronx. Up next is St. Raymond's Cemetery. St. Raymond's Cemetery is divided into two separate cemeteries, and we're looking at the northern one here. Behind is the Hutchinson River Parkway, and that's followed by many roads at the intersection of the Hutch, the Bruckner, and the Cross Bronx Expressway. The Hutchinson River Parkway leads to the Whitestone Bridge, which will appear close to this aircraft on the left side of the plane. Before landing, we get some really close-up views of the Castle Hill section of the Bronx and the East River before landing on the runway 22 pier, which extends out into the river. Between well-spaced arrivals to runway 22 like us, the tower has been issuing planes takeoff clearance on the intersecting runway 13. Those planes climb to the east of LaGuardia, which is why arrivals from the southwest on the Proud and Milton arrivals fly up the Hudson River. We would have been approaching LaGuardia from up the Hudson if it weren't for the extreme reroutes resulting in 2 arrivals and 1 approach. Let's land on runway 22. Welcome to LaGuardia. Well, even though we didn't get to fly up the Hudson, we're going to see Manhattan in a moment as we clear runway 22 to the left and switch over to ground control for taxi guidance to Terminal C. There's Manhattan. It's not as impressive as flying northbound on the Hudson at 4,000 feet, but we're here and late. Being late to LaGuardia is just part of a typical day here. Let's head to Terminal C. Here's the complete route that we flew today. You can see how we headed north toward Cleveland, started the Milton arrival, then switched to the Harp arrival in way upstate New York. What a journey from Orlando to LaGuardia. What a flight that was. All right, it's nice to be on the ground here at LaGuardia Airport. Those reroutes, really interesting. Made for a very exciting but long flight. All right, off the plane here in Terminal C at LaGuardia Airport, and this aircraft is going down to Fort Lauderdale after this. It is delayed. The people heading down to Fort Lauderdale on that flight had an 8 o'clock departure. It's now delayed till 9:30. And it's nice to be in the old US Airways terminal that was just refurbished at this part of the airport. I like this. That's a new outdoor area out there. I'd go, but I want to get home. It's late. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the video here as I work my way over to the bag claim area. Thank you so much for joining me, of course, on this flight from Orlando to LaGuardia. It was a long one. It was a different one, but I enjoyed it. Well, I'll see you all very soon on another flight. Remember that if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I invite you to click on the subscribe button below, and I'll be back again with another video just like this. Thanks, everybody.